Have you ever wondered how a small city-state on the Italian peninsula grew to control the entire Mediterranean world? Rome wasn't built on military might alone. Behind every conquest, every alliance, every peace treaty stood masters of negotiation who understood that true power comes not just from winning battles, but from winning minds. Welcome to Negotiating Like a Roman Emperor, where we'll uncover the diplomatic genius that built history's greatest empire and show you how these ancient strategies can transform your negotiations today. Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel, The Oracles of Wisdom. Today, we're traveling back over 2,000 years to uncover negotiation tactics so effective they helped build an empire that lasted for centuries. When we think of Rome, we often picture legions marching across Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. But what many don't realize is that Rome's greatest weapon wasn't the gladiator swords. It was the art of negotiation. Roman emperors and leaders were often masterful diplomats who understood that sustainable power comes through strategic alliances, careful compromise, and psychological insight. Whether you're negotiating a business deal, advocating for a promotion, or simply trying to convince your family where to go for dinner, the diplomatic strategies of ancient Rome can give you a powerful edge. So let's dive into the negotiation playbook of history's most successful empire. Our first lesson comes from Julius Caesar, whose conquest of Gaul was as much a diplomatic campaign as a military one. Before Caesar ever met with Gallic tribal leaders, he had already gathered extensive intelligence on their customs, rivalries, and ambitions. In his own words from the Gallic Wars, Caesar wrote, "The Gauls are divided into factions, not only in every state, but almost in each individual household." Caesar used this knowledge to drive wedges between rivals and negotiate separate peace agreements, effectively conquering through divide-and-conquer diplomacy. The Roman approach teaches us that preparation is everything. Before entering any negotiation, research your counterpart's background, needs, and constraints. Understand their decision-making process and who influences them. Identify their potential weaknesses and pressure points. Know what they value most and what they can afford to lose. As Cicero advised, to win an argument, you must first understand your opponent's argument better than they do. This depth of understanding gave Roman negotiators the ability to craft proposals that seemed beneficial to both sides, while ultimately advancing Roman interests. When foreign ambassadors arrived in Rome, they weren't simply escorted to a meeting room. They were strategically overwhelmed by the city's grandeur. Massive temples, triumphal arches, and bustling forums. Before negotiations even began, visitors were psychologically primed to respect Roman power. Augustus, Rome's first emperor, perfected this approach. When meeting foreign diplomats, he orchestrated everything, from the height of his chair to the number of guards present. This was done to create an impression of overwhelming authority. Yet simultaneously, he often adopted a humble, personal demeanor, creating an effective contrast that disarmed opponents. This teaches us the power of setting and framing. Choose negotiation venues that subtly favor your position. Demonstrate capability without explicit threats. Control the physical and psychological environment. Balance displays of strength with personal warmth. Modern negotiation research confirms what the Romans knew intuitively. Environmental factors significantly impact negotiation outcomes. Even today, studies show that sitting at the head of a table or having your back to a window can subconsciously enhance your perceived authority. Perhaps Rome's greatest diplomatic innovation was the concept of Pax Romana, the Roman peace. To potential allies, Rome offered a compelling value proposition: accept Roman authority and in return receive protection, infrastructure, trade opportunities, and autonomy in local affairs. This wasn't just empty rhetoric. Regions that peacefully joined the empire often received immediate benefits. Roads were built connecting them to lucrative trade networks. Aqueducts brought fresh water, and Roman legions protected them from hostile neighbors. The lesson for modern negotiators is clear. Don't just ask for what you want. Articulate a vision that benefits both sides. Demonstrate immediate value and long-term advantages. Be prepared to invest in the upfront to secure lasting agreements. Follow through on promises to build credibility for future negotiations. As Emperor Hadrian demonstrated by spending more than half his reign traveling the provinces and addressing local concerns, successful negotiations aren't just about the initial agreement, but about maintaining relationships that make both parties successful over time. Roman diplomacy was remarkably adaptable to local circumstances. In Egypt, emperors presented themselves as pharaohs. In Greece, they positioned themselves as protectors of Hellenic culture. In Judea, they often respected local religious practices. However, on certain core principles, Rome was utterly inflexible. Two requirements were non-negotiable across the empire: acknowledgement of Roman sovereignty and payment of taxes. Everything else could be customized to local conditions. This balanced approach teaches us to clearly distinguish between your negotiable and non-negotiable points. Demonstrate flexibility on process and implementation details. Remain firm on core principles and key outcomes. Adapt your communication style to match your counterpart's cultural expectations. In your own negotiations, decide in advance what constitutes your Roman sovereignty, the points on which you cannot compromise, while remaining open to creative solutions on everything else. Rome's negotiators were masters of escalation and de-escalation tactics. Consider the famous Roman warning to Antiochus IV of Syria. When he invaded Egypt, Roman envoy Gaius Popilius Linas drew a circle around the king in the sand and demanded he decide whether to withdraw or face war before stepping out of the circle. Faced with this decisive ultimatum backed by the distant but real threat of Roman legions, Antiochus immediately retreated. This dramatic incident demonstrates Rome's understanding of the strategic use of deadlines to force decisions, controlling the tempo of negotiations, calculated displays of resolve at critical moments, the power of combining diplomacy with credible threats. In your negotiations, this might mean knowing exactly when to press your advantage and when to offer concessions. It might mean setting clear boundaries while simultaneously offering face-saving compromises. Above all, it means maintaining control of the negotiation's emotional climate and pace. I'm curious, which of these Roman negotiation tactics do you think would be most useful in your daily life? Or have you already used any of these approaches successfully? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's learn from each other's experiences. The negotiation strategies that built Rome's empire weren't just effective in the ancient world. They're timeless principles rooted in human psychology and social dynamics. By thoroughly understanding your counterparts, creating powerful impressions, offering mutual benefit, balancing flexibility with principle, and masterfully controlling the negotiation process, you can achieve results that might otherwise seem impossible. Remember that Rome's greatest conquests often happened not on battlefields, but across negotiating tables. As Cicero said, "Let us be drawn by the persuasion of reason rather than driven by the force of necessity." If you enjoyed this exploration of ancient wisdom for modern success, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss our upcoming videos. Until next time, negotiate like an emperor, with strategy, insight, and the confidence that comes from preparation. Stay mindful and keep shining.